So the next short take I want to give my perspective on, it's gonna be about the Heat versus the Bucks, and also I'm gonna be giving my prediction on the Knicks series versus the Heat. So let's get into it. So Giannis, he was taken out by Jimmy Butler. I mean, he lost in 5 games, 5 of them, a gentleman sweep. So that looks terrible on Giannis's resume. Okay, I don't think that he should be considered the best player in the world anymore. I mean, I think that he's definitely top five, but I would say that he's probably at five. I mean, there were so many expectations on this team. A lot of people they expected for them to go to the finals and win the championship. I mean, that's what I did. I thought that they were going to go to the finals. Now I didn't bet on them to go, but I just felt like this team was ready for the moment. Okay, but I also knew that Coach Budenholzer wasn't a good coach. Okay. So I thought that Giannis would carry this team just like he did in 2021. But hey, I was wrong. Giannis, he played terrible in his games back. Okay. Especially in game 5, where he shot 10 for 23 from the free throw line. I mean, that is horrific. Okay. I mean, a lot of people want to get at Shaq, but at least Shaq made it when it counted. Whereas Giannis, on the other hand, I mean, it's almost like he has to get into rhythm in order for him to hit free throws consistently. And then on top of that, he was scared of getting the ball when it came to him trying to get the free throws. He did not want to touch the ball anymore at a certain point of a crucial situation. I mean, he tapped it back like it was a hot potato. Look, Giannis, he's a great player, right? But his situation that he has difficulties in is his post game. He doesn't have a post game, okay? And his mid range isn't great either. So the thing that Giannis depends on for the most part is transition buckets and also trying to get buckets from offensive rebounds. But if his post game was more natural and if it was more free flowing, he would have a better chance of getting victories. Okay, if it was smoother, he would be able to win. But it's obvious that he just doesn't have it. Okay, so the only way that he's going to be able to win is he's going to have to dedicate himself to hitting a whole lot of free throws in a row in the offseason. And he's also going to have to develop himself into a great post player. Now, Giannis, he said that this season wasn't a failure. I disagree with that highly. It was a failure, okay? Because of the expectations. You're the number one seed. I mean, Drew Holiday, he's going to make all NBA defense. Giannis is going to make all NBA defense, and so is Brook Lopez. Then you also got Bobby Portis in the background, who at one point was averaging 10 plus rebounds this season. Whereas in this playoffs, the only thing that he could do was just try to get in a fight with Udonis Haslem. That's just hilarious. Now, as far as the coaching situation, I mean, this was bad. I mean, he didn't double or send any help on Jimmy Butler. I mean, Jimmy Butler, he was allowed to cook whoever he wanted, whenever he wanted, because of Mike Budenholzer. Okay? So if I was anybody during that situation who was coaching in the NBA and I had to be coaching against the Heat and somebody's just going off from seeing no coverage, I would have sent multiple bodies at Jimmy Butler. Okay? And he didn't do that. So this is what cost him. And another thing that was an issue was the execution at the end. I mean, they were up by 16 plus points in both games, in games 4 and 5. And they ended up losing both. Whose fault is that? Yes, it's on Giannis, but it's also on the head coach as well. I mean, I felt like he definitely should have been fired. Okay? I mean, the only reason why he even got the leeway that he did to stay with this job is actually because of them winning the championship in 2021. Had they had never won, he would have been fired. I mean, we saw what Kevin Durant was able to do on the Bucks defense when they went up against each other in 2021. He was averaging 30 plus points on them. On drop coverage, while KD against the Celtics with Ime Udoka on the other hand, all you had to do was just double KD, and then he was giving up the ball left and right. I mean, his handle wasn't good enough during those moments. But had Mike Budenholzer had just doubled Jimmy Butler, maybe they would have been in a better position. Maybe he doesn't go in a gentleman's sweep. Maybe they do actually come back from 3-1 and win this series. But no, they didn't. And the decision to not have Giannis in the game for the defensive play that was needed from Giannis to be able to stop Jimmy Butler from getting his shot off to tie it in game 5. I felt like that was idiotic because I felt like Giannis would be able to defend better than Pat Connaughton could have. But it definitely was a circus shot for sure. So some adjustments that Eric Spoelstra made during this series was he had Bam Adebayo handle the ball instead of Jimmy Butler in game 5. That worked. Okay, I mean, he ended up having a triple-double in that game. And, you know, they just spread the ball a lot better. Caleb Martin showed up big for this team. This is just a kudos to Eric Spoelstra being able to outcoach Mike Budenholzer. I mean, it wasn't even pushed to 7 games. This was a gentleman's sweep. This looks bad on Giannis's resume. Okay? And Drew Holiday, I mean, he was considered the most underrated player in the league because of his defensive ability and his playmaking ability. But we all know the truth about Drew Holiday. The truth is Drew Holiday, come playoff time, he has the ability to get cooked. Now, not necessarily against Damian Lillard, but against the greats of the greats. He's going to get cooked. And Drew Holiday, he's only 6'4". Jimmy Butler, he's 6'7". He could see over Drew Holiday. And here's another coaching issue that Mike Budenholzer had. He did not just send Giannis to guard Jimmy Butler. He didn't do that. And Giannis, he did not want to take on that role and decide to go at Jimmy Butler defensively. Maybe if he does that, then maybe they're in a better position to win this series. But no, that didn't happen. So I just think that this is bad on the Bucks. They really did take a step back. The expectations were through the roof, and it's over for them. Now, because of the situation, do I think that Giannis is going to stay in Milwaukee? I think that he's going to live out his contract, but I could definitely see him leaving. I could see it happening, especially since that his contract, it's until the age of 31. He will still be in his prime. So to me, if they don't make a coaching change, then I could see him leaving, especially with the amount of expectations that was already placed upon him. So that's just my perspective with that situation. But as far as Jimmy Butler, he was amazing, especially for the last two games. I mean, for the series as a whole, he was averaging 30 plus points. I did not expect for him to have the breakout game that he did. In fact, I thought that this team was going to get swept or pushed to 6 games because of Eric Spoelstra's coaching ability. It's always been elite. So I could have seen them either getting swept because of the injuries that they were going through or potentially pushing the Bucks to 6 games. But hey, that didn't happen at all. It ended up being the exact opposite. Eric Spoelstra, he was on point. And so was Jimmy Butler. I mean, he had 56 points on Giannis. I mean, it wasn't all on Giannis. Most of it was on Drew Holiday. But it still was very impressive because a lot of those shots were contested. Now, the thing about Jimmy Butler is he has inconsistencies. Okay? 1 minute, he's on fire, going crazy for 2, 3 games. The next minute, he falls off. So I was expecting for him to have that fall off. And it didn't happen for this series. I mean, in the next game, he had 42 points. It wasn't the 56, but they were difficult. Difficult shots. And like I said, he was able to get the job done. That's what matters most, getting the job done. And they had issues with Kyle Lowry and his old self. Tyler Hero, he was out with injury. Victor Oladipo is gone. So they were still able to win this series. Do I think that this is the greatest performance in the history of the NBA? In terms of a series, no, I don't. Because of the magnitude of when it happened. It's not like this happened in the conference finals or the finals. It didn't happen there. This happened in the first round. Now, there's a reason why the Heat ended up being the 8th seed and not the 3rd seed. It's because of Jimmy Butler and his inconsistencies. Okay? I mean, I expected for this team to do better than what they did last year. but I did not expect for this steep of a drop. So yes, Jimmy Butler, he definitely did show up for this series against the Bucks. But can I see him doing this against the Knicks? Honestly, I don't see it. So let's get into my prediction for who I believe is going to win against the Knicks versus the Heat. I'm predicting that the Knicks are going to win this series in 6 games. Listen, we already do know that Mike Budenholzer is an idiot, but we all know that Tom Thibodeau is going to obviously have the Knicks play defense on Jimmy Butler on a whole different level than how the Bucks did. Okay, so that's what I think, and I think that Jalen Brunson isn't afraid of anybody, unlike somebody in Drew Holiday who was. Now, I wouldn't say that he was afraid of Jimmy Butler per se, but he definitely allowed for Jimmy Butler to get into his head mentally. Okay? Jimmy Butler, he was playing mental warfare with everybody, and it worked. Okay? He was calling out everybody. And he was able to expose that with his abilities, with his intangibles, showing that he is the alpha of the team, that he is the leader of the team, and he's somebody that's not going to run. That's somebody that's a general, somebody who's going to take you out, somebody who's the captain of his ship in the Heat. That's exactly what Jimmy Butler did. And that's what he did to Drew Holiday. Started trash talking him, Giannis, the whole team, and he ended up getting the victory. Now against Jalen Brunson, on the other hand, I don't think that Jalen Brunson is afraid of Jimmy Butler. Okay. And I think that the Knicks, they have a lot of good players. Players like Obi Toppin, players like Emmanuel Quickly. I think that they have a good squad off the bench that can help get this victory in terms of the series. Not to mention, I think that RJ Barrett, he's been playing a lot better. And I can just see Tom Thibodeau sending double teams or sending different ways to defend Jimmy Butler because that's truly all they have offensively. And I can't see Eric Spoelstra being able to win this matchup this time. Okay, I can see him being able to help get Jimmy Butler open, Max Strus open, and Bam Adebayo to have some schemes offensively for him to be able to take advantage of. But the Knicks, they just have way too much talent on their hands. Okay? To me, I feel like the only person who could hurt the Knicks is actually Julius Randle. Okay? He takes a lot of dumb shots. He takes a lot of shots that are contested and it's hard to get off. And plus, like, his game is kind of too much one-on-one basketball. So if Randle is playing at a team basketball type moment, then I could see them winning this series for sure. But if he's not, and it's just my way or the highway type of situation, they're going to lose this series. But overall, I think that Jalen Brunson is going to have himself a great series. And I think that Julius Randle, he's going to contribute. And I also believe that Mitchell Robinson, he's going to be a brute force when it comes to getting rebounds and helping out defensively. So I'm going to have to go with the Knicks in 6 games. And I would not be shocked if this series goes 7. And I definitely would not be shocked if the Heat win this series. But in terms of the roster and the health that the Knicks have, I'm going to have to go with the Knicks in 6 games. So that's my prediction on this series, as well as my perspective on Giannis losing to Jimmy Butler. Have a good one.